elaborated. I'll tell you a way to get rid of the surplus, Ernest Everhard said. You could just throw the surplus into the sea. Throw the surplus into the sea. Throw every year hundreds of millions of dollars worth of shoes and wheat and clothing and all the commodities of commerce into the sea. Won't that fix the surplus problem of capitalism? Yeah, but that's absurd. Yada, yada, yada. I have demonstrated to you mathematically the inevitable breakdown of the capitalist system. When every country stands with an unconsumed, an unsaleable surplus on its hands, the capitalist system will break down under the terrific structure of profits that it itself has reared. And in that day, there won't be any destruction of the machines. The struggle then will be for the ownership of the machines. If labor wins, your way will be easy. The United States and the whole world, for that matter, will enter upon a new and tremendous era. Instead of being crushed by the machines, life will be made fairer and happier and nobler by them. You of the destroyed middle class, along with labor, there will be nothing but labor then. So you and all the rest of labor will participate in the equitable distribution of the products of the wonderful machines, and we, all of us, will make new and more wonderful machines. And there won't be any unconsumed surplus because there won't be any more profits. But suppose the trust win in this battle over the ownership of the machines in the world? Mr. Kowalt asked. Then Ernest Everhard answered, you and labor and all of us will be crushed under the iron heel of a despotism as relentless and terrible as any despotism that has blackened the pages of the history of man. That would be a good name for that despotism, the iron heel. You cannot but grant that the ownership of wealth constitutes essential power in the U.S. today. How is this wealth owned by the three classes, the three big classes? You got the plutocracy, the wealthy bankers, railway magnates, corporation directors, and trust magnates. Second, you got the middle class. Your class, gentlemen, which is composed of farmers, merchants, small manufacturers, and professional men. And third and last comes my class, the proletariat, which is composed of the wage workers. How is the wealth owned by these three classes? The poor class, the middle class, and the plutocracy. Here are the figures. The plutocracy owns 67 billions of wealth. 67 billions of wealth. Of the total number of persons engaged in occupations in the U.S., only 0.9% are from the plutocracy, yet the plutocracy owns 70% of the total wealth. Did you just hear those numbers? Did you just hear those numbers? I just told you that less than 1% is a part of the plutocracy, and yet less than 1% is a part of the plutocracy, and they own 70% of the wealth? Why do less than 1% of the people own 70% of the wealth? Less than 1% own 70% of all the rest of this? How is that fair? Less than 1%. They'll still complain. Yeah, they think Walmart sells wall stuff. They send out their damn people to buy their groceries. They think that they need an ID just to buy groceries. How much do they think a plane ticket is? Just $2. Their dad only gave them $1 million loan in order to survive. They think that's tough. He gave me a $1 million loan. How am I supposed to survive in America with just a $1 million loan? How can you not survive in America with a $1 million loan? 0.9% are from the plutocracy, yet the plutocracy owns 70% of the total wealth. The middle class owns 24 billions. 29% of those in occupations are from the middle class, and they own 25% of the total wealth. 25%, so that's more closer. 29% of the people own 25% of the wealth. That's getting closer to being equitable. But let's get to the proletariat. The proletariat owns 4 billions. $4 billions of wealth. Of all the persons in occupations, 70% come from the proletariat, and the proletariat owns 4% of the total wealth. Where does the power lie, gentlemen? From your own figures, we of the middle class are more powerful than labor, calling us weak, does not make you stronger in the face of the strength of the plutocracy. And furthermore, I'm not done with you. There's a greater strength than wealth, and it is greater because it cannot be taken away. Our strength, the strength of the proletariat, is in our muscles. It's in our hands to cast ballots and in our fingers to pull triggers. This strength we cannot be stripped of. It is the primitive strength. It is the strength that is to life germane. It is the strength that is stronger than wealth, and that wealth cannot be taken away. But your strength is detachable. It can be taken away from you. Even now the plutocracy is taking it away from you. In the end, it will take it all away from you. And then you will cease to be the middle class. You will descend to us. You will become proletarians. And the beauty of it is that you will then add to our strength. We will hail you, brothers, and we will fight shoulder to shoulder in the cause of humanity. You see, labor has nothing concrete of which to be despoiled. Its share of the wealth of the country consists of clothes and household furniture, with here and there, in very rare cases, an unencumbered home. But you have the concrete wealth, 24 billions of it, and the plutocracy will take it away from you. Of course, there is a large likelihood that the proletariat will take it away first. Don't you see your position, gentlemen? The middle class is a wobbly little lamb between a lion and a tiger. The plutocracy is a lion, and the proletariat is a tiger. If one doesn't get you, the other will. And if the plutocracy gets you first, why, it's only a matter of time when the proletariat gets the plutocracy. Even your present wealth is not a true measure of your power. The strength of your wealth at this moment is only an empty shell. That is why you are crying out your feeble little battle cry. Return to the ways of your father. You are aware of your impotency. You know that your strength is an empty shell, and I'll show you the emptiness of it. Day by day, the trusts squeeze out the farmers as they're squeezed out Mr. Calvin and the rest of the dairymen. And day by day are the merchants squeezed out in the same way. Do you remember how in 6 months the tobacco trust squeezed out over 400 cigar stores in New York City alone? Where are the old-time owners of the coal fields? You know today, without my telling you, that the railroad trust owns or controls the entire anthracite and bituminous coal fields? Doesn't the Standard Oil Trust own a score of the ocean lines? And does it not also control copper, to say nothing of running a smelter trust as a little side of enterprise? There are 10,000 cities in the U.S. tonight lighted by the companies owned or controlled by Standard Oil. And in as many cities, all the electric transportation, urban, suburban, interurban, is in the hands of Standard Oil. The small capitalists who were in these thousands of enterprises are gone. You know that. It's the same way that you are gone. You know that. Who then controls the government? The plutocracy, with its paltry 250,000 of occupied members. But this 250,000 does not control the government, though it renders yeoman service. It is the brain of the plutocracy that controls the government. And this brain consists of 7 small and powerful groups of men. And do not forget that these groups are working today practically in unison. Gentlemen, I merely sketched the power of one of the 7 groups that constitute the brain of the plutocracy. Your 24 billions of wealth does not give you 25 cents worth of governmental power. It's an empty shell. It's an empty shell, and soon even the empty shell will be taken away from you. The plutocracy has all power in its hands today. It today makes the laws, for it owns the Senate, Congress, the courts, and the state legislatures. And not only that, behind law must be force to execute the law. Today the plutocracy makes the law. And to enforce the law, it has at its beck and call the police, the army, the navy, and lastly the militia, which is you and me and all of us. So the mathematics of a dream. The mathematics of a dream. So what does this mean? It's incredible. This is Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders talks like this still today. We still have a plutocracy. We still have a plutocratic class. 1%, 1/10 of 1% owns everything else. Everything under the sun. And they still want more. If you've had everything that you need, you can eat all the food that you want, you get all the clothes, you got all the cars, you got all the houses, and you still want more, you want excess, you want surplus, you don't want just what you need, you don't want even what you want. You just want it fucking all.